All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Rated R. My name is Rymar, and this is a show where I just kind of turn the mic on and um, ramble, I guess, rant. Who knows what I'm going to come up with today? I don't give these a lot of thought. It's just like a little audio diary. Um, Excuse me if I'm a little stiff. I strained my neck or something like that this morning working out, and anyway, it's been a rough day, but got to get the things done, and it's you know, a little crazy. Times are so crazy right now, honestly. Like, um, obviously, we had the assassination attempt on uh, Trump this weekend, and so the news cycle is going absolutely bonkers with all sorts of different ideas, the failures of the Secret Service. Some folks thinks it was staged, some kind of conspiracy theory stuff, and honestly, I don't know what to believe anymore. If you've been paying attention to the media over the last decade or more, like nobody knows what to believe, and since we're all journalists now, everybody has the capability of just throwing their opinions on the internet, which is kind of what I'm doing here. And I don't really want to get too deep into the weeds on what happened. There's more qualified people to talk about kind of the details of the event, but it does seem so contentious. I mean, if you saw some of the headlines coming out of the event, um, CNN talking about, you know, Secret Service removes Trump after noises or after he fell on stage, or just just wild headlines. And the state of the current media, in my mind, is so atrocious that I just don't know. I don't know where you go from here other than to just completely turn them off. I've been telling people this for a long time. Anything that's driven by advertising dollars has to be almost purposefully excluded from your like information diet. A lot of us are really focused right now on like eating healthy and taking care of your body and making sure to take the right supplements and protein and blah blah this diet and blah blah that diet, and like we're also focused on what we ingest in our physical bodies, but very few of us are thinking about how corrupt the information that we consume is. I had people sharing videos with me that purported to be the shooter, and it was just some spoof, somebody like making fake videos that happened to resemble the shooter, and they spread like wildfire. Conspiracy theories saying that somehow the Trump campaign staged this whole thing. Like you're gonna risk having somebody shoot at your fucking head um, to pretend to have some fake pretend assassination, and then you have other folks saying that this was, black ops and some kind of, the most plausible story is complete incompetence by the Secret Service. I don't know how that guy gets on that rooftop and doesn't get noticed. You can actually see videos of people calling him out. Apparently, they did know the guy was up on that roof for at least 5 minutes, maybe longer. And so things don't kind of stack up. And we've seen this time and time again where the like we're living in a day and age where there's just so much information out there that it's hard to even know or think about like where to pay attention to. What do you plug into? And thank goodness Twitter exists. I don't know if y'all are on Twitter, but you should be if you're not, because it's like the purest stream of raw citizen journalism that I've ever seen. And their community notes feature is actually absolutely fantastic, where people can actually put notices on things that may be misleading. People can kind of correct and add sources, and the original post stays up, but then there's like a little community note underneath. And I've been active as a community notes participant for a while now. And it's interesting to see how it works, how you can kind of crowdsource the truth. And you don't get it right 100% of the time, but you get it right more often than not. And they're completely open to, whatever you want to say. They're not turning people off anymore on Twitter. And they're not, I don't know. I can't speak for Twitter, but it seems to be a lot better than some of the other platforms who are kind of shying away from all this and just getting lost in, joy and happiness and cat videos and whatever other viral things are happening. But all I can really think about is that we're in and I go back, this was in the first episode too, we're in a moment of change. We are in a place where the old world is meeting the new world. And by old world, I mean, traditional power players, the government establishment, these large corporations, these megaliths that used to be the large institutions that we looked up to and trusted as beacons for morality or truth or, really anything that stood, right? We needed these large institutions. And now what we're seeing is the lowest trust in institutions ever, the lowest trust in government ever, the lowest trust in media ever. And the only thing I can say, the only thing I can kind of attribute that to is that, again, old world meeting the new, you have all of these new things, you have all of this new technology, and you have the ability for basically anybody to go out and build their own audience and become a source of credible information. And you do that through building trust by kind of being personable, by building real relationships with your audience and being candid with them and building trust over time. And now we're seeing that these independent journalists are building entire media platforms. Barry Weiss in the Free Press, Matt Taibbi, on Substack. There's a ton of these that I could rattle off that are folks who used to work in traditional media and now have either started their own thing or have gone off to kind of build, Greg Greenwald? Why can't I think of his... I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. But there's a ton of these folks that have really just kind of extracted themselves from the machine and are now starting their own thing. And I think, it's really important for us as individuals to go support these independent folks. I have a ton of Breaking Points, Dave Smith, Part of the Problem, his podcast. There's a ton of these independent, and you don't need to go follow the same ones I do, but go find someone in your orbit or someone that interests you who's not some kind of mainstream journalist and go pay them a couple bucks a month to support their cause as journalists. And let's see if we can't rebuild some of this cohesion by really taking account and responsibility for the information we ingest, right? So much of what we see is controlled by these algorithms who are basically regurgitating your biases to you. So if you think that Trump is a Nazi Hitler type and, you saw this assassination attempt, maybe you're being inundated with posts that reinforce those beliefs and, I wish they wouldn't have missed, or this is totally staged by the Trump campaign so that he can get that picture and make it look like he's a martyr. And if you're a conspiracy wacko, maybe you're seeing all this other stuff and you think it's some coordinated attempt to, off this guy. I don't know. I just think it's weird. We're in fucking crazy times right now. And I don't know what the answer is other than real connections, other than finding out how to just reconnect with each other. We're just missing, I don't like where this is headed. Oh, what the fuck are you even saying, Rymar? I don't know. You try to dissect these big topics and it gets so far lost. How are we ever supposed to know what's actually happening in the world? How could you ever know? All the world's a show. The whole thing's a stage, right? You see the media lying. You see politicians lying. You see big corporations lying. And nobody's ever held to account. You see all this hypocrisy. I've got a whole file of bookmarks in Twitter here that is just listed as hypocrisy. For instance, let's see. What's here? Okay, that's one. Biden's deteriorating mental condition, right? For how long have people been saying the dude is senile? The dude is obviously not all there. And you have the entire media saying, oh no, of course he's okay. Let's
There's
listen
a narrative that Joe Biden is an old man, of course, and I'm not disputing that he's not 81 years old, but
we are going to separate the fact from the fiction because there are a lot of videos going around about President Biden on social media.
These videos, they're blatant lies.
they are lying to their audience.
Making up and distorting things about the current president.
Trying to get people to believe visuals that aren't real.
The videos are oftentimes made up.
Deceptively edited videos known as cheap fakes.
A cheap fake, at least that's what the White House calls this viral.
Internet freeze. Okay, we don't need to watch the whole thing. It just continued, like literally on and on and on and on for I don't know how long. They were telling us that these were cheap fakes. No, Biden's okay, everything's all right. And then all of a sudden he comes out in this debate and we see that the dude's just an empty fucking suit, you know? And you're like, well, what is this? You know, how do you trust any of these? Let's see. Let's look. There's more. The Russian collusion hoax, right? Let's pull up another video.
Away evidence. Did you investigate that?
Brett, we pursued the facts as best we could.
Well, how about this
tools
fact?
that we have?
Okay, how about this fact, Mr. Durham? The entire Mueller team does a hard reset on their Apple phone in synchronization to wipe away evidence. Did you investigate that?
I've read that.
Well, why did you investigate it? Who gave the order on the Mueller team to wipe the phones?
Yeah, that was not something that we were asked to look at, and we didn't.
No,
look
that's
at that.
not true, Mr. Durham. That is not true because I'm holding the document that authorizes your activity, and it specifically says the investigation of Special Counsel Robert Mueller. It's in Mr. Chairman, I seek unanimous consent to enter into the record the order that says that you're supposed to investigate these things.
We pursued the.
And this is the whole Russia collusion hoax. There's a ton of these that you could pull up. You know, for 3.5 years, all we heard in the media was Trump is a Russian asset. He's a puppet of Putin, blah, blah, blah. And again, going back to this Mueller report and the Steele dossier. And it turns out that it's all bullshit. It literally was all bullshit. They had nothing. And so you have so many. This is another thing. Check this out. This one is crazy. I saw this the other day, and this is absolutely fucking bonkers.
Good evening, I'm Nora O'Donnell, and thank you for being with us. 2 decades ago, the 9/11 Commission found that Al-Qaeda acted alone, but victims' families say that is not true, pointing to this video and other evidence as proof. They are suing Saudi Arabia, claiming its government provided crucial assistance to the hijackers and planners behind the September 11th attacks.
Okay, so we don't have to watch this whole video, but essentially you have the media now talking about 9/11 and the potential involvement from Saudi Arabia. And there was a report recently that showed the ties between 9/11 and Saudi Arabia. And it just so happens that Saudi Arabia said, hey, we're no longer going to sell oil on the dollar standard anymore. And now the media is talking about this. 20 fucking years, they never mention any of this. They never talk about any possible government affiliation, any kind of attachment to Saudi Arabia, who is a big trade partner, or was a big trade partner of ours. And then, of course, they step away from the US dollar, and all of a sudden the media starts talking about this stuff. And it's so absolutely crazy that that we just have all of these situations where, again, who do you fucking trust? Who do you fucking trust? Look at this. Donald Rumsfeld did a bit of disinformation about weapons of mass destruction, 0 fines, right? These guys lied us into the whole Iraq war. Declared OxyContin safe and effective, killing hundreds of thousands, $0 in fine. Alex Jones makes some thought about Sandy Hook being a conspiracy. They find the guy $1 billion. And yet these same people are now shouting from the rooftops that maybe what we saw this Sunday was a conspiracy, which is absolutely fucking crazy. And there will be no accountability. There will be no accountability. There was no accountability for the Hillary Clinton emails. There was no accountability for any of the COVID shit, any of the COVID lies, right? Like, you know, if you go back, let's look at this. I have a whole folder of COVID lies inside of here that literally just blows the roof off of what was going on inside of this entire scandal here. And I don't know how deep I want to go on this stuff.
Days of the pandemic and examine what some of. Today we are here to examine one of the most critical and debated questions of our time. Did COVID-19 originate in a lab? To answer this question, let's revisit the early days of the pandemic and examine what some of Dr. Anthony Fauci's inner circle said privately about the origins of the virus. Discussions that were only revealed through FOIA litigation. Christian Anderson wrote, "The lab escape version of this is so friggin' likely to have happened because they were already doing this type of work, and the molecular data is fully consistent with that scenario." Ian Lipkin stressed the nightmare of circumstantial evidence to assess regarding the possibility of inadvertent release, given the scale.
We're not going to watch the whole thing, but essentially he goes on, and this is Rand Paul, just goes on to like destroy the entire narrative. And if you've been watching recently, there's been a bunch of, revelations that Fauci and some of the inside folks that were dealing with COVID had separate email accounts. They were misspelling the names of people they were talking about so that it wouldn't come up in FOIA requests. And again, you just see time after time after time, these crazy conspiracy theories turn out to actually be true or have some semblance of truth, or there was some giant cover up, and again, so you go back to, how do you know what to believe? So the only thing I can say is you just have to turn off all the fucking corporate news, anything that's driven by advertising, and is sponsored by Pfizer. And you just have to go and sift through, again, with your own eye. You have to be discerning. You have to go see things from different sides of the spectrum, and maybe just be a little skeptical about anything that these folks tell you at scale. Again, I don't know where I'm headed with this, but I'm just tired of seeing these stories. They're finally coming out with so many. I don't know. Look at this. Anthony Fauci admits to forcing vaccine mandates. It's been proven that when you make it difficult for people in their lives, they lose their ideological bullshit and get vaccinated. They were shoving this stuff down our throats, and then all of a sudden it's gone. And if you bring it up, you're a fucking asshole. If you bring up the fact that the mainstream media was attacking Trump for 3.5 years, talking about being a Russian pawn, that's in the past. The fuck do you mean it's in the past? COVID shut down so much, changed so much. It changed everything about our lives. We'll look back. Same thing with 9/11. I remember exactly where I was in 9/11, and you will always remember what you were going through when COVID hit. It's one of those things that fundamentally altered the fabric of our society. And we're just expected to move on from these things over and over and over. Examples of all these different fucking lies. And then you have a complete decline, of our financial systems, of the average person's ability to succeed in this world. And if you're like me, you're just looking around like, what the fuck's actually happening? Maybe you've just unplugged completely. Maybe you've just totally said, fuck it, I'm not even paying attention to this. Sometimes I think about that, but I don't know how, because I'm addicted to, just ingesting all this, right? If I have a flaw, that's it. It's that I'm always kind of just sucking all this stuff in and trying to translate it. And that's really what this whole podcast is about. This is really what I'm trying to do. And I'm trying to figure out the cadence for this, but I just got to get reps in. So anyway, I know these early episodes, not many people are going to, listen, but, I'm going to get good at this. I got to maybe get a little, here's another one. Here's another one that just has to be where was it? Look at this. Look at this. Jobs report numbers have been revised down in 4 out of 5 months in 2024. In 2024, the largest revision from 353,000 to 256,000, or by 97,000 jobs, took place. So what they're saying is every month they come out and they say, here's how many jobs we're growing, and then the next month they retract it back. And this has happened, I don't know how many times you see this, with job numbers, with inflation numbers, with all sorts of stuff. They take the headlines, they say, here, look at all this growth. And then at the end of the day, there's no fucking growth. Or not as much as they say. And then they obfuscate things and they talk about all of this growth and there's added so many new jobs. And then you find out that it's part-time jobs, but you lose full-time jobs, right? So over the last 2 months, part-time employment is up by 336,000 jobs, but full-time employment is down by 653,000 jobs. So they'll tell you that the economy is doing great, but it's not. So many people are underemployed or unemployed. And You know, they want to make it seem like, oh no, this is great. Everything's great. The jobs are fine. The economy's fine. Everything's doing great. You have the stock market, you know, just blowing up. Definitely no problem with illegals. Look at this. The number of 12-month moving average immigrants coming into the United States. Why does this spike under Biden? You know, what is happening that we allow these things to take place? But no big deal. We don't need to worry about the border. You know, there's nothing wrong here. Look, mortgage application index. Mortgage market is experiencing a severe recession. It's one of the worst mortgage downturns in history. Mortgage purchase apps are in the lowest levels of the post-1995 era. Many would-be sellers can't afford to sell or buy something new. So inventory is also skyrocketing. If you're paying attention to the real estate market, inventory is skyrocketing, but nobody can buy because the interest rates are too crazy high. And so literally we have the lowest mortgage purchase application, you know, like rate ever. Traditional refi is also can't happen. There's just no interest rates. And we're supposed to believe that everything's just A-okay. Look at this. Breaking. There are now a record 299,000 new homes for sale in the southern United States, according to ReVenture. This is even higher than 2006, the year before the housing market crash. So this is just showing the number of units. So the inventory is spiking like crazy. But again, nobody can buy these because the interest rates are too high. So you just can't buy these homes. There are now more homes, let's see, more new homes as a percentage of homes for sale than ever before. As a percentage of homes for sale than ever before. So new homes. And I just don't know. You know, I just don't know. I don't know what to do, but I know something's like just off. And again, I go back to this is why I'm doing this, is because I'm trying to build connections, real world connections, meaningful connections with folks in my community, in both my geographic community and my special interest community through the digital world. And maybe we need to start having some kind of like hangout sessions where we can just talk about this stuff. Maybe once a week, that's what we should do, is we should just get together. Everyone bring your news articles. Let's fucking hang out and let's talk about what's going on. And, you know, maybe sometimes it'll be serious. Maybe sometimes it'll be fun. I was having a conversation with somebody the other day who had listened to my recent podcast, and they were like, you know, I loved it, but don't always be so serious. And that's another thing that like I struggle with sometimes, is that I'm a silly bitch. I'm playful. I'm always like, you know, joking around. And then I get into this like mode where I'm start to see and look and explore some of the stuff all around us. And like, I get so serious, you know, and these things get so intense. And yeah, I need to figure out how to bring some levity into some of this stuff. But I don't know. Look at this. The First Amendment is out of control, says the New York Times in an opinion guest essay, July 2nd. This ain't even that long ago. You know, the First Amendment is out of control. This is a fucking New York Times opinion essay. Delinquency rates. Look at this. Delinquency rates for multifamily housing. I mean, we're sitting on the precipice of something. I keep talking about, look at this. You got crazy shit going on at the White House. When I made a tweet recently, if I go to my profile here, I used to be so proud of this country. Now I don't even recognize it. Every day I see another story that breaks my heart. We'll face a reckoning soon. I really think, again, going back to this idea of change, we are in an era of change. And I don't know how to do anything other than like talking to this mic and send out a beacon of hope to folks and say, come kick it. Come join me in the community. Come hang out with us. Come talk with us. Let's build strength. Let's build community. Let's build connections so that as these things get crazy, and even if they don't, like we're doing this co-marketing experiment where we're trying to figure out how do we like organize organically around a digital asset to kind of build something that we can use to generate leads and revenue for us as freelancers. And going back to, the invisible technologies I talked about in the last podcast, how do we build new systems that allow us to kind of thrive through the change? And how do we take advantage of some of these tools and technology that we're kind of playing with and see in front of us that will allow us to, detach from the machine and start building, some kind of peaceful resistance, which I think is going to be the topic for the next one. I think the title for this episode is going to be Ready, Fire, Aim, because, I'm just shooting in the dark here and I'm not really thinking too much about what I want to say. But maybe I need to think about how I approach these podcasts moving forward and have a little bit more of an outline. But what I really want to do is start spurring the thought in your heads that we need to start resisting peacefully. We need to start disconnecting from these traditional institutions and media systems and start building our own. We need to start finding ways to restore trust at scale, and that starts with restoring trust on a localized level. And I just mean that in between people. That doesn't necessarily mean geographically local, but local as in one-to-one relationships, small groups, and then work our way up from there, rather than swimming in this vast pool of craziness and expecting that your little shout is going to make a difference. So if you're listening to this at this point still, I don't know. Go over to rymar.com, sign up for my email. Let's connect. Let's jump into a Discord server or something. Actually, that's probably what I should do, is join like a Discord server or some kind of WhatsApp group or something like that. Maybe that's the next step, so that we can all start chatting somehow, some way, and building our own little community around this so that we can discuss topics. Maybe we can share articles. Maybe we can kind of share resources with each other as things get crazy, and try to find some, balance to whatever it is that's going on around. Because I think there's so much good stuff too. I do have a bookmark in here for hope, and I think there's lots of things that are happening that we can get into later that I think lead us to think that, there's still people doing good things, and it's going to take all of us pulling in the right direction to kind of change this. But again, it's not going to come from Washington. It's not going to come from big corporations. It's going to come from us. That's going to be a reoccurring theme through all these podcasts, is that we, the people, we, the creators, have to find new mechanisms to do some of this stuff. And anyway, I'll leave it there for today. So, okay, that's all. Catch you in the next one. Bye now.